What up, though? OG Kenny, O underscore G underscore Kenny at Retired from the Streets TV, and you know what it is, Church Crime Sunday, right? Church Crime Sunday always, to me, is it be like on Sundays, usually I'm with the family, so Church Crime Sunday always is like an interjection of me taking away from my day to do it, because I like doing fresh on Sunday. I don't like doing them ahead of time. I like them, catch my stories on Saturdays, research between Friday and Saturday, and then holler at y'all on Sunday where the idea and the energy is fresh. So, on this Church Crime Sunday, we going East Coast, Brooklyn, Canarsie, aka the Flossie. Shout out to Pop Smoke and Flip the Narrow. That's their section. Rest in peace, Pop Smoke. But y'all, if anybody know about the Canarsie, what they call the Flossie, out in Brooklyn, legendary area. And up to recently, you've seen a lot of rappers coming up out of there. It's a bunch of more. Like it's a video called the Top 20 Canarsie Brooklyn Rappers. Y'all go check that video out, and y'all see they got a slew of talent coming up out of there. So shout out to Canarsie and Flossie. But we talking about a pastor, a bishop, robbed at gunpoint, and I'm pretty sure y'all saw the story. Some of y'all saw the story. They calling him the bling bling bishop, right? Criticizing him for his lavish lifestyle. He wearing Fendi, he hopping out of Rolls Royces, he jewelried up, he rocked, you know what I'm saying? He got big rings, big watches, big chains, white Flossie, you feel what I'm saying? And what he's saying to the world is that I am not laughing at my people by wearing these things. I do this like most people who do for motivation, right? And if you know the history of indigenous peoples, particularly black people, a lot of our heritage is tied to kings, queens, you know, the founders of civilization, the ones who wore gold and gaudy. You look back at them ancient pictures or depictions of kings and queens, big chains, big jewelry, 20 wives. So when you see dudes nowadays with big chains, big jewelries, and a bunch of women, it ain't too far-fetched, especially if they can afford them. Bishop Lamar Whitehead, right? Pretty much still a young brother in his 40s, mid-40s, with a checkered past. But who cares, right? Because he's supposed to be doing God's work. Robbed on live stream, while live streaming his Sunday service at the Leaders of Tomorrow Ministries, or Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministries in Canarsie, Brooklyn, that's set right up top of a Haitian restaurant. So while he live streaming, 3 armed men come in, black hoodied up and all that, sweatshirts and whatnot, and rob him. He said as soon as he saw the door open, he knew something was wrong. He said he felt like demonic spirits had entered into the house of God, and he didn't know. And especially considering, what's the dude, Dylan Roof and all these people that have been shooting up churches and whatnot, especially considering the headlines surrounding churches, he didn't know what was going to go on, whether his parishioners or his congregation was going to get shot up or what, or whether they just came to commit a robbery. And he said in his own words, thank God we didn't take any losses. But as far as casualties, what he did take as a loss was that they took several church items following after they hit the stage behind in the pulpit, put him down at gunpoint, right? Put a gun to his head. Took all his visible stuff off, ripping at his yoke, you feel me? His pastor's collar. Ripping at it several times, snatching it off. And when they did that, they seen that he had other jewelry, other chains hiding up under there, right? So they robbed him of all that. Let me get all that. Put a gun, you know, according to the pastor, according to the bishop, they put a gun in his 8-month-old child's face, or to her head, as well as rob and relieve his wife of her things, right? Now, they made off with a bunch of stuff. Big emerald and gold, cross, rings, Rolexes. They said Cavalier. I think they meant Cartier watches. The news reported Cavalier watches. I never heard of that. But I'm familiar with Cartier. Maybe they meant Cartier. If y'all familiar with Cavalier watches, get in the comment section. But they robbed this dude. Robbed this pastor. In front of all these churchgoers. Now, what's going on with the pastor is, let me get to his past and everything that's going on that people don't like and that they criticize him before I give you what he said about his story and in his defense. They're saying that the pastor has a checkered past in which he did time in prison for identity theft. That's one thing, right? So I ain't gonna get into the details of that. If y'all want to research that, that's cool. That ain't what I do here. They also saying that he had a parishioner who loaned him 90 grand, right? Or gave him 90 grand, said he's supposed to be flipping and showing her how to get a house for the first time and whatnot with bold credit. She's saying she didn't get none of that. The money back in return, or she didn't get the house. He's saying that he took that donation, assumed that was contributions towards his run for, he's running for, what was that, city or local, like a mayor's position in Canarsie or whatnot, right? He's real close with the mayor, Eric Adams, the mayor of Brooklyn. So he was running to get his political campaign up and running, right? He took the money for that. Another person said they gave him 150 grand towards contributions, actual contributions towards his campaign as a loan. Now, with those loans, what you're supposed to do is when you're running for city council, or you're running for office, and you get a loan, that loan is supposed to be paid in full before election day. And in personal loan situations, they're not supposed to exceed $1,500. This is $150K, which means that is what 100 times the minimum, right? So you got that, the checker pass with the identity theft. The one parishioner saying the 90 grand towards the home that she didn't get back. Another contributed to the political campaign that said I didn't get the 150K that I loaned him. So he said that he had a victory in court though. They actually put the judge into the default against the young lady who was suing for the 150 because he didn't come to court. She wanted a default judgment. The judge denied that. So he's saying that to him was a victory in court. Now, with those blemishes that they've been exemplifying, right, as well as his lavish lifestyle, you would think that maybe he's taking all this money. The general consensus might be that he's taking all this money. That's what, 200 and something grand, real quick, and he just flossing out with it. He Rolls Royce up, he whipped up, he jewelried up, he big boy chains, he rapper chains, you know, he King Tut jewelry. So they saying that he getting all of this because they assuming it seem like that. Maybe he's living this lavish lifestyle through nefarious deeds and acts. He's saying nobody is considering what my parishioner is going through. Nobody's considering that while I'm live streaming, these men coming to my church in the house of God, while I'm doing God's work, and I got a flawless record outside of my previous conviction in the community and with the people of doing the right thing, doing God's work, helping people, food, clothing, whatever that, you know, what a pastor's supposed to do. I believe that if you're a pastor in the neighborhood and you living good and you flexing and all that, you better be giving back to the community right around you. You better be giving back to those in the congregation. Should nobody in that congregation or in that parish, should nobody in that parish have late bills, never go a night without food on their table. None of that if you riding around rich like that. That's my whole thing. When you're doing that type of work, you're supposed to be doing God work, that money's supposed to be going right back into, and what he's saying though is that he don't get no money from the church. He said, I don't collect the salary from the church. He said, I got multiple revenue streams. Y'all know how I feel about people who done got their life together and clean their record up and doing the right thing. And people constantly trying to scrutinize them and belittle them and whatnot and paint that bad picture of them. I'm totally against it because I believe that everybody deserves a fair shot once they pay their debt to society. They deserve a second shot at life. Bishop Lamore Whitehead and his wife, I don't care what they did. I doubt that those dudes who came in the church were coming as far as retaliation for something he did wrong to them. They just saw this dude eating, he flexing, he stepping out, he big boy Rolls Royce, he big boy jewelry, he got the big religious cross on with the emeralds and the gold. You feel me? He making little baby them talk to their joy like, dog, what's going on? Icebox, holla at me. He got all this going on. It's not hard for a dude who's starving to watch. They're going to dang church's money. You feel me? You got bishops and whatnot who will get robbed. They coming out flexing with a little simple rollie. So just imagine you eat. And he probably felt real comfortable with his community to where he's like, we don't need no security. He's a smaller church for the most part. He like saw smaller churches. He said the smaller churches really can't afford security. But what he did say that makes sense is that the same way, like situations like Sandy Hook and Uvalde and all those school shootings, right, where teachers should be allowed to bear arms in protection of themselves and their students, bishops, pastors, preachers, imams, right, should all be able to, despite their faith, should be able to arm themselves in their place of worship to protect them and the ones who are part of their congregation, their ummah, or whatever you want to call their community of worship, right? I agree. I agree. I think past, because I don't want to go to church with nobody or to a mosque or masjid and be in there getting my fellowship, my worship on, and somebody come in and I ain't got no pistol. Because I used to be one of them. I used to take a gun to church. I did, because I know maybe I watched too many movies, but I know that a dude to get you anywhere when you got stuff going on in the street. So I definitely used to have a 38 snub nose. That was my mama's. Right, when we was younger and I was going to church, and I kept that boy in the whip right inside the cuddy in the vent. Pop that vent out, 38 in that boy. When we get out of church, I'm taking it, putting it in there, and I'm in that. So I understand what he's saying. They should be able to defend themselves, right? Despite what that brother did, I don't want to focus on anything that they saying he did wrong, because we don't know the legalities, and all of these pending things, all these things that are against him are pending still, except for the previous conviction that he served his time for. And I think he did. I don't want to assume. I think it was like 5 to 6 years. He did enough time to where he paid his debt. And if he's doing the right thing now, and that's consistent, he in the pastor field, he in the bishop, he in his bishopship and whatnot, and he doing the right thing. Give that man his flowers. Stop criticizing him for how he dressed and whatnot. The same way y'all not on these big mega churches and these Joel Osteens and whatnot of the world, right? Y'all not condemning none of those dudes. So leave this dude alone. It's a small pastor. Revenue streams up the butt. Now we find out later, then correct me. Get in the comment section to correct me later, or come on, do a whole video and say you was wrong. I am human. But my thing is, right now, all we know is that somebody wronged the church. And that's what I'm focusing on Church Crime Sunday, because it was a crime against the church. And that's what my focus is. So anybody get in the comment section, I ain't no reporter. I ain't nobody trying to, you know what I'm saying, paint the picture against nobody, you know, a sensational story against nobody without proof. So the media headlines gonna be what they are. The bling bling pastor, you know what I'm saying, the Fendi faith god, or whatever y'all want to call him. You know, let's see how this story plays out, and let me pray for peace over that young baby, over that innocent wife, and over that congregation, as well as Bishop Lamore Whitehead. You know, let's pray for peace, because being robbed at gunpoint, I've done that. I've robbed people at gunpoint, and I felt terrible years later about it, because I started thinking about the consequences and the repercussions of how people are affected by that. The peace of mind you take from somebody when you do that type of stuff, right? So I understand how it feels to look at the other side of that, because I've never been robbed myself, but I can relate to that. So let's pray for peace of mind for them individuals who were victims of these three dudes. So it's cowardly, man. You don't go in no church and rob nobody. You catch that dude by himself somewhere if y'all gonna do that. That way he man to man, he probably can have his thing on him. I mean, he ain't got a felony, but if you got somebody with him, they might have their thing on him. They might be able to make it fair. Y'all 3 deep, y'all robbing the whole church full of women, children, and probably elderly people. You know, smaller church like that, right on top of a restaurant, it couldn't have been that big. So I doubt that he getting all that bread y'all thinking from the church. But if I'm wrong, correct me, like I've been saying so far. So get in the comment section, like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. You feel me? You know, y'all hear noise in the background. My house full of family, so ignore the noise in the background. You feel me? They be forgetting I be recording sometimes. So y'all hear hollering. You feel me? I love y'all. Thanks for tuning in with me. Another Church Crime Sunday. OG Kenny, O_G_Kenny, advertised from the streets TV, and I'm out.